this. It's a demo that I made, and this is not my idea, but I did see it actually on Met Dan on Facebook. It popped up on my feed, and I just thought, you know, what a great way to showcase our designer series paper, and specifically this paper right here, which I started to play with, which is called the Merry Little Christmas Designer Series paper, and it's 12 by 12 and they're double-sided. I'm just going to quickly go through. So the great thing about it is that even though it's designer series paper for Christmas, on the one side, the other side can be used for any occasion. So here we have, you know, the plaid, which is obviously can be used Christmas or not, and stars on the other. This designer series paper, same thing. It has a nice green design. This polka dot has a pretty, almost like an olivey branch kind of a thing going on. These lovely stripes have a black and white checker, or flannel, or I don't know what you call that. And this really pretty one has Christmas trees. But you know what? Even though there's trees, we can't necessarily say they're Christmas trees, but it could be used for non-Christmas items as well. So there are some pretty ones, and there were a few more that I've already used, so unfortunately you'll see some in here. There was the mittens one, and then of course there was a red on the other side of that. And so I figured this was my demo one, and this is great to hang if you'd like to decorate your home. It is a good size. It's 12 inches by 1 inch, so you can make a great ornament, and we can make small ones as well. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is, and it's great to use up your scraps. 6 pieces. We're going to do 2 parts. So the 2 parts are going to require 6 pieces of the one DSP, 4 pieces of the other, and we're going to do that 2 times because we're going to make 2 pieces of panels, and then we're going to glue them together. So if you want to make it easy on yourself, you can cut 12 pieces of one designer series paper and 8 pieces of the second designer series paper. Now the reason why I said let's do one at a time was because if you want to alternate the patterns, you can do 6 of one pattern, 6 of the other pattern, and vice versa. It's really up to you how you want this to look. So they're all 1 inch across, 1 inch wide by 12 long. So this is going to go super fast. So we got 1, or I'm sorry, I lied. 1/2 inch, not 1 inch. Yeah, 1/2 inch. 1 inch is a little too big. So let me put that back down there. Okay, 1/2 inch. So that's 2. Let me go this way because it's easier to cut. 3. 4. 5. 6. And we're going to do, for the second panel, 6 more. So it's 1, 2, 3, these here, and then we're going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, Alrighty, so what you're going to need now is to just separate the bunches. So we need 4 on the one and 6 of the other. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have chosen to do them exactly the same way. You could do it however you want as far as which. So we have 6 here and 6 here, 4 here and 4 here. You could have done it the reversed if you wanted 6 of this pattern. It's all up to you. So basically we're going to do this particular pattern. We're going to take one of the 6 pieces. Again, these are cut at 1/2 inch by 12 inches long, and we're going to take 2. We're going to just line them up. We're just going to find the center by folding them in half. And just meet the ends. And we're just going to kind of just put a little crease. Doesn't have to be a deep one, just enough to find the center. Just like that. Okay. Now from here, we're just going to make a cross or a T or however you want to call it. Okay, and we're just going to put that down there so you guys can see. Now I recommend having a couple things ready. That being a liquid glue and eventually a couple clips. And I love these little clips that we have, and you'll see what we'll use them in a minute. So we're going to put this down first in the T. We're going to take the pattern that we want on the other side. So we can do it like this. I'm going to stick with the green on the one side. We're just going to put it on top, just like that. Where we're going to glue is right underneath these 2 strips. And you're going to bring them close like that. So I'm just going to show you first, and then I'll show you how we line it up. Then we're going to take the next layer and we're going to weave through. Okay, and I'm just showing you now, and as we go, we'll add the glue just so you can see the pattern. So we're going to weave one on the bottom, lift this center one, weave the other one on the top. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so that was fairly easy. So the only other thing then you need to do, you only have 2 more pieces here, is we're going to add them onto the left and the right. Again, weaving. So we're just going to lift up the center, weave that other piece underneath. Okay. And there we go with that one. Now, like I said, we are going to add glue to these, but I just wanted to show you the pattern. You want to keep that centered. If you add the glue as you attach these, of course, everything will stay. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to add the other layer. Again, across and across the top here. So it will look like this. Okay. Now it looks confusing. It's not. So once we start to glue them down, you'll see. So I'm going to take these strips out again, and we'll go ahead and glue them so you can see where you need to glue each piece. Okay. Now, if you choose to use the opposite side, that might be something you might want to do just for visual purposes. So we're going to come back here into the center again. I'm going to get my glue ready. Hopefully I'm on camera, I'm in the center here and you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to put a dab here in the center. You don't need a lot of glue. This does set pretty quickly. So here we go. So we're going to take this piece. We're going to add a dab on the left and the right. We're going to take the piece. I'm going to do the opposite side just for purposes of showing the contrast, and it might be easier for you to follow. I'm going to put it opposite. So I'm just adding right next to the other ones, and the glue is good because it allows you to kind of position it, gives you a second to get there. Okay? Now, we're going to take the strips that have the 6 pieces. We're going to put one on the top and one on the bottom. We're going to weave it underneath of the 2 that we just put down. So we're going to lift the 2 we just placed. Am I right in doing that? Let me see. I think I'm right in doing that. Yeah, so we're going to lift the center piece, just like I did here. Going to slide this under. We're going to lift this center piece and slide this under. Now where we're going to put the glue, we're just going to move them a little out of the way. On the top and the bottom 4s, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to put a little glue in the center. A little goes a long way. You don't have to put a glob. Okay, so then we're just going to lift these up and just position them right where we want them to be, making sure that they're lined up with the other strips. Okay, and then we just keep weaving the pattern. Okay, so now we have 3 and 2. Now we're going to take our last 2 pieces. Remember, we had 4 of these cut. We're going to go again to the left and to the right. We're going to lift the center strip up and put this underneath that center strip. Lift this center strip up, put this under the center strip. Okay, now we're just going to move them out of the way just a little, and we're going to put a glue dot 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outer ones. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. Okay, not the center one, because that's the one we're weaving. And we're just going to slide them over and make sure they're lined up. Put a little pressure on there. Slide this one over. Make sure they're lined up. Put a little pressure there. So now we should have only 2 pieces left of the 6 pieces. Okay, and we're going to put that on the top and on the bottom. And we're going to weave the other direction. So these 2 center ones, the inner of the 4, are going to be lifted. So it's going to go over, under, over, under. Does that make sense? So we're going to go over this one, under that one, over, under, over. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go over, under, if I can get it up, and then over. Okay, so pulling them a little apart so you can see. Again, we're putting glue on the outer sections of the strips, only on the 4. So 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. And we're going to just slide these into place. Okay. Okay, and this one, it's really not hard once you understand the weaving pattern. That is like the hardest thing, is getting discombobulated with this. So do you see how that looks now? It's a pattern of over and under. Okay, we're just gonna press this down, make sure everything sticks. Okay, so we're just going to take the outer pieces here and we're going to overlap them. We're going to hold them like an X and just basically flip them halfway over until you see the other side of the pattern. And we're going to take a little Tombow glue. And we're going to put it onto the one edge of the piece and line up the other edge. Interruption. So basically what I've done here is I've taken the outer left and the upper left, and I've brought them together, kind of twisting it so we can see the opposite side, and adding a little Tombow glue and holding it with a clothespin. And I've done the same thing to all 4 corners to show basically both sides of the pattern. Now we're going to take the next layer in, and as you can see here, I'm putting them together, but I'm not going to glue them together. I just want to be able to turn them over and glue them to the original ones that are now being held by the clip. So I'm going to take that left one. Now you see the back side, which is the black with the stars. I'm going to glue it to that first panel that I just have there, where I put the white glue with the glue on the white square, and I'm going to use a clothespin, and it's going to hold it in place. So that second piece is going to the first piece. So now I'm going to take that top left panel, and I'm going to just make an X, and instead of gluing it to that second, I'm going to glue it to the original first strip. And I guess you can add a little bit of glue to both panels if you'd like to, but I like that it has a little bit of flexibility, so I did not add any glue to that second piece. I just did it to the original. Now what you're going to do is go around to all four corners and do the same thing. At the end, you're just going to have the center cross, the original center cross piece that you started with, freestanding. Okay, so I'm just going to speed this along so that it's not taking forever, and you're just going to see me basically take those panels, those strips, and connect them just like I did the first one, taking the top left, crossing it over to the left side, and the bottom one, crossing it up and adhering it to the original pieces. I'm just going to be moving around, adding Tombow to those pieces, and just keeping them. This is why those clips are so, I think, fabulous to have. It allows you to move faster, and it gives it time to stay where it needs to stay in order for the paper to set. So we're just going to kind of move this around. This is done in 1/2 inch by 12, but I can also pretty much imagine, although I haven't tried it, that in a 1/2 inch by 6 to make a smaller ornament would be really pretty too. So, you know, hopefully one of you will give it a try, and please let me know in the comments below if you are successful at it, and if you have any other tips for something of the smaller nature. So we're just moving around now. We're almost done. This is the last corner that we have to adhere, and you're going to see that we will be sitting at the end with just a green strip vertical and a green strip horizontal, and those pieces are going to be needed to adhere our two panels together, but we have to actually make the second panel, so we're going to do that right now. And like I was saying earlier, you can alternate the pattern papers that you would like. I just happen to keep it for cutting purposes. I made the same amount of each just to keep it the same. You can alternate it, bring in different paper, do whichever way you like. This is totally up to you. So as you see here, I'm making, just like I did before, I'm making a T, putting the glue, and I'm going to add my left and right pieces, and then add glue on either side, and just keep working the same pattern that I did before, making sure that they are all at the same height and length, and we're not one shorter than the other, because it is going to affect when it folds over. And then I do try to bring them fairly close to keep that center piece kind of snug. And liquid glue really does help for that. So I'm bringing the different pieces now, and we're just going to do the same thing that we did before. Okay, so I've basically saved you all the dullness of redoing that whole process. So I'm just showing you here that I've already created my two panels, and I'm removing the clips so we can put these two pieces together. So everything has pretty much dried at this point, and we're going to basically take one of the panels and flip it basically upside down onto the other one. And those strips that are not attached to anything are going to go inside the loops that we have created. So we're basically taking, if you look at them at face value, and take one and flip it right on top of the other as if you were making a sandwich, and slide those little strips right through that hole. As you can see there, I'm trying to point out. And you're going to do that all the way around and make sure that all the strips from both panels have slipped through all 4 of the holes, or actually eight holes, because there's 2 panels. So what we're going to do, they're going to look like they're hanging out too long, but don't worry about that. We're just going to add a little bit of Tombow glue, bring it to the edge as far as you can, add the little clip. Once it has set, we'll be able to trim some of the excess of that strip. I put glue on both layers, so both crisscrosses, so that it can adhere and stay on a little bit better. There will be a little bend in that panel, that strip that comes out of the panels. That is okay. So as you can see, I'm just putting it down, and adding some clips to just kind of hold it in place. And I will be going back and trimming the rest. Really, basically, the entire project is kind of basically done at this point. Just make sure that everything is adhered good, as it is going to be some sort of decoration that you're going to hang from somewhere, and you want everything to just stay where you want it. Okay, so here we keep going. So as you saw there, I just removed the clips, and I want to clean up my edges. So I just take my snips and I just go around the entire ornament, and whatever little peak corners are hanging out, I just clean it up by just snipping those ends off, as you see me doing here. And it makes it look nicer and cleaner. And it, sometimes if you've made a mistake, you can always just, like I said, cut it off. No big deal. You just go all the way around, make sure we do that. And the only other thing that you really need to do is punch a little hole and take a little twine, and there you go. Run it through and you have yourself a pretty ornament.